Okay, so for you to make a base soap, we're going to need distilled water. We'll be using 70 grams of distilled water. We're going to use 50 grams of olive oil. We also need coconut oil, so we're going to use 50 grams of coconut oil as well. Then we also need palm oil. Palm oil acts as a good thickener for base soap. So if you don't have palm oil, or you don't want to use palm oil, maybe because of the color, you want a clearer base soap, you can use stearic acid. It also works very well. Then we're also going to need the lye sodium hydroxide, very important ingredient in making the base soap. So remember, we have been talking about heating the water solution separate and the oil solution separate. So in your water, we're going to add the sodium hydroxide into the water, and then for the oils we'll mix them separately, and then we'll be pouring the lye sodium hydroxide and water into the oils while mixing until we have the pudding paste texture. Putting our sodium hydroxide into our water, please add while stirring, and be careful, wear gloves, and also be sure to wear a mask just so that you are safe. As you can see, there's a reaction taking place. So once you've mixed your sodium hydroxide into the water, we are going to add this mix into the oil, not the other way around. So we'll get our coconut oil, then we'll get our palm oil as well. We're using this cup to measure. We'll pour it in there, and then we'll also get our olive oil. We'll also get our olive oil and pour it in the mix. This olive oil. And we'll pour our olive oil in there. So we're going to mix this up, and we'll put it to heat at 70 degrees. You can also use the double boil method. So you're now going to start pouring your sodium hydroxide into the oil after you've heated it until you get a pudding texture. So please be stirring while you're pouring the water. Don't stop stirring. As you can see, the color is changing. So once you're done pouring your water into the oils, you're going to keep stirring until you have a pudding-like texture. And once you have a pudding-like texture, you let it cool off, and then you'll be able to pour it into your soap trays. Okay, so when you pour your sodium hydroxide and water into your oil solution, it will give you a pudding texture. So you keep mixing until you have such a texture. And then when you achieve this texture, then you can now put it on your soap trays and give it 24 to 48 hours to dry. If you're going to make it into an acne soap, a brightening soap, or a lightening soap, you have to remelt it after it's dry, and then you can add your ingredients such as turmeric, charcoal, depending on what exactly you're trying to make and what skin type you're trying to target. Okay, so after you've added your mix to the soap trays, please note that soap trays come in different shapes and different sizes. So if you want your soap to come out with a square shape, please purchase the square type of soap trays. If you want your soap to come out oval or round, please purchase trays that look like that. So we're going to leave it on these trays, and we'll cover it so that there are no flies or anything like that. You can cover it with a plastic or with a tea towel, and then we're going to leave it for 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours, depending on how quick it hardens, before we can now start learning how to make brightening soap, lightening soap, or acne soap.